like me, that we are not to be lukewarm regarding the things that we commit ourselves to. I was recently introduced to the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It focuses on the theory that it takes, the theory of the 10,000 hours rule. Basically, it takes anyone, not some people, not most people, anyone, no less than 10,000 hours to master expertise in a particular skill. Malcolm Gladwell studied the success of famous athletes in every sport. He looked at Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft, the Beatles, arguably the most successful music group in history, and several other success stories, including Skadden Arps, among the top 3 law firms in the entire United States. And in all cases, it came down to the same thing. Mastery requires practice. But you might say, wait a minute, we're talking about commitment. What does that have to do with expertise and mastery? Well, believe it or not, commitment expects no less than the 10,000 hours rule. Real commitment will cost you your time, your effort, and your personal resources. It requires sacrifice. Pastor Thomas spoke about that recently in her presentation. Anyone who commits themselves to something honestly and genuinely with the intention of achieving that commitment must sacrifice something. Let's look at commitment from a corporate point of view. And when I say corporate, it applies to any organizational body, such as the church. Before we can successfully be committed to something, we as humans, because of how we are made mentally, we need to understand, okay, what is the goal here? What are we trying to achieve? Don't tell me to go do something if you don't tell me what I'm supposed to be trying to achieve, because then you're wasting my time. That's how we think. We need to know what is expected of us as individuals. What am I required to do? Who am I going to be accountable to? And what time frame am I required to do it in? Unfortunately, even when you get these answers, commitment is not a simple thing. See, someone in management or in leadership might believe that commitment is demonstrated by how focused and how hard-working an employee is. But that same employee might feel that commitment for them is how many extra hours they put in, how many sales they book for the month. We're both looking at commitment from 2 completely different points of view, which can easily derail the desired or intended outcome of whatever we're committed to. I want to look at 5 steps of commitment in the next slide. Because it's sometimes based on our point of view, because it requires so much of us, have in your mind an understanding generally of these steps of commitment. Commitment requires communication. You must communicate what the individual you're talking to is going to be doing. Even if you are committing yourself to something, you must be clear in your mind about the commitment that you're taking on. Assess the progress. Let's put this in the framework, again, of this organizational body. We meet, we decide what we're going to do. It's important to go back and assess the progress. People need to know that they're still on the right track. They need to know that everything that they're doing is worthwhile. Otherwise, you might lose them along the lines. Recap the decisions. This is extremely important. You debrief and you ensure that everyone is still on board. This should be done within the first 24 to 48 hours after you first meet to agree the project, the assignment, whatever it is you're going to move forward with, or whatever you're going to expect everyone to be committed to. After that, You can recap on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, or within whatever time frame fits with the project. Reestablish the commitment. This may actually be accomplished in step 3, recapping the decision. But you should reestablish a commitment. Now that we have agreed and reassessed our agreement and we've looked at the process, we might have to change the process sometimes. Sometimes when we go back and look at things, we realize this isn't really working. We may then have to change the decisions a little bit. And now you need to reestablish a commitment with everyone on board. This works even individually. It helps to minimize the back office chatter. You know, there are always a few people who create their own base level organization, and they know better than the leader, and they have better ideas, but they never bring that up in the meeting, they never bring it up in the forum where we're trying to accomplish anything. And so therefore it's important to make sure everyone refocuses and we can get the best out of everyone. Bring them back to the same page. Make sure everyone is still singing on the same song sheet. And finally, record the commitments. Establish a record. A record helps us to stay accountable to each other, and it gives us a benchmark. We know what we did the last time because we have a record of it. So next time, or this time, we want to surpass that. So communicate the commitment, assess the progress towards achieving the commitment, recap the decisions related to the achievement of the commitment, reestablish a commitment when necessary, because there might have been a shift or a change in between, and record the commitment. Okay? Having established this structure, what you're doing is you're creating the possibility to reinforce the successful achievement of the commitment. Next slide. Let's look at how we can balance then the commitment against the achievement. And this isn't something that many people think about, but it's important when you really look at it. Commitment is a balancing act. Commitment requires a certain level of support from you or others to achieve the commitment. And commitment should be with an ultimate end goal, improvement. So we have to balance supporting and improving. When we look at supporting, focus on what is important. Sometimes we make a commitment and we lose focus. That's the support you need. You need to stay focused. And sometimes in a team, in a group, in an organization, we can help each other stay on focus. For the improvement side of it, look for a better way sometimes. When we first sit down to meet and talk about this is what we want to do and we commit ourselves to it, as I said, there might be a need to reassess and change, shift. So we always look for better ways of achieving and satisfying the commitment. Lead by example. We talk about this in leadership. It's the best way to get your people on board. Lead by example. But you also, on the flip side, should be willing to take risks and change when necessary. When necessary. Manage disrespect. Very important. Remember the back office people? Sometimes you're going to have to manage disrespect from back office people. And managing that disrespect should be done because, particularly of who we are, should be done with grace. Remember, leaders need compassion. Because you might learn something from the back office people. You must be open to that. Yes, they are frustrated. Yes, they are critical. Yes, they are judgmental. Yes, they are negative. Amen. But we actually might learn something from those back office people when we approach them with compassion, respect, and a willingness and openness to hear them out. Okay? How do we do that? We're going to get to it. Reward success. It's important when you are building a support structure around your commitment to acknowledge and reward success. Because if people need to stay motivated, and if they don't feel like their efforts are making a difference, are appreciated, they will lose that motivation. However, you must challenge expectations on the flip side. You can't just be rewarding people just because they showed up. You've got to show up and actually do something. You've got to do something that brings us closer to our end goal. And if you're not, I will be happy to tell you, I'm so happy you're here. But guess what? I need you to focus on this. You're not doing this, and this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is what you committed to do for the organization. I need you to get back to satisfying that commitment. So when you reward success, be also aware that you must manage an expectation. Okay? Let's look, I want to share this with you. It's such an eye-opening quote. Commitment comes into actions when you can effectively manage these two things. And because, again, of who we are, we know nothing is impossible with our God, right? We all know that. However, many of us are not living the life that says nothing is impossible. We must begin to live life with that clear indication, nothing is impossible. And we need to step forward every morning with that testimony on our lips, nothing is impossible. And it must show in your actions. It must come out of your mouth, if not in the exact words. People must know that you serve a God where nothing is impossible, and your life reflects it. When asked about his favorite model, what was his favorite model in all the lines of Porsche automobiles, the owner, Porsche himself, replied, I haven't built it yet. And that was just in 2011. Do you know how many Porsche cars are out there? In 2011, he said, I haven't built my best car yet. As great as some of the Porsche automobiles are, he still sees in himself, the best one isn't there yet. I still have the ability and the capability to build something better than everything else I've done. That's the attitude we must have. That's what we need to commit ourselves to on a daily basis. I want to switch now from the organizational and the corporate to the personal. I assume that the majority of us in this room are married or have been married at least once in our lives, and for those of us who are, congratulations. I also believe for those of us who've been in this position who agree with me that it's not the easiest thing in the world. It really isn't. And the hardest yet is staying committed to another person. And I don't mean staying faithful. I mean staying committed to the ideals of marriage, to the vows that we made to each other. That's probably the hardest thing that we will ever do in our entire lives. Just like in business, commitment means one thing to me and another thing to my partner. And that's what makes it so hard. And it's even more difficult because marriage is a very different relationship from any other relationship that we'll have. In marriage, we commit ourselves on so many levels. We commit ourselves legally. Marriage is binding, so we commit ourselves in law. We commit ourselves emotionally. For most of us, we fell in love with the person that we married in the beginning, quote unquote. It's a commitment on religious grounds. It's a commitment based on family ties. Sometimes it's a commitment made out of duty. Marriage is centered around so many different commitments. It begs the question, why do so many marriages fail? The answer is simple. Because commitment to anything must be accompanied by trust. And trust, like glass, once it's broken, you can put it back together, but the cracks will always be seen. Hopefully none of our marriages are at this place. As human beings, we find it difficult to stay committed to a course of action that we no longer believe in. We will not commit our energy and our time where there is no faith or belief in a positive end result. We will pretend for a while, but we cannot successfully achieve the commitment that we made, where there is no belief in it or any trust. So it's important to know what we're committing ourselves to. And there are so many people, there's so many times we just jump right into a commitment. Sometimes we commit ourselves without even knowing what we're committing to. We just say, okay, yeah, I'll do it. But you don't know what it takes to get it done. And so that's what sometimes causes commitments to be broken, to fail. Often, even in marriage, we commit ourselves on the basis of our emotional feelings before we know what the pitfalls are that we're moving into. Next slide. So let's look at the journey of commitment. I'm sorry, I thought this was no, it's not as dark as I thought. This journey, believe it or not, starts from the bottom and goes up. When you move into a commitment, when you make a commitment, too often we do it in ignorance. And because we don't know what we commit ourselves to, we do nothing. We do nothing, or we accomplish nothing. If you move a step up, though, and you try to gain some awareness, seek awareness about what you're committing yourself to, it's new learning for you, and you gain exposure. Now you have a better feel, to some extent, of what it is, a commitment is all about. But you need to go further. You need to move to the stage of understanding, research, hold discussions. And again, this works both in an organizational structure as well as individual. You will need support to satisfy and meet your commitment. Remember we looked at the balancing act between supporting and improving? Consult, gain consultation, seek consultation, obtain feedback, give feedback, ask for guidance. All of these are steps that help you achieve the commitment that you made. And finally, involvement. You now need to be engaged in your commitment. You've gained your awareness, you have a better understanding, you've gotten the support you need, you now need to be engaged, or you need to get other people involved, if necessary, to help you realize that commitment. These are stages to ensure or to help make sure that you do not fail in meeting your commitments. Gain an awareness, understand what the commitment is all about. Gain deeper understanding, do whatever research you need to learn what you need to do to achieve the commitment. Obtain whatever support is necessary and engage yourself fully to achieving and meeting that commitment. Next slide. Looking at it from a corporate standpoint again, what I want to do is, I want us to think about. We've looked generally at commitment from a corporate structure. We've touched a little bit on commitment on a personal level. In a corporate environment, in an organizational structure such as this, and this is where we're going to tie together the leadership skills and leadership qualities that we talked about earlier this morning. Remember what I said? My opinion of a good leader, a successful leader, is one of care. It's a person who cares. In your organization, no matter how small, it can be the entire church, it can be the women's group, women's ministry, the men's fellowship, create a commitment wall, or create a commitment pledge, or create a commitment manifesto. Create something that allows you and the persons within leadership to stand up and do whatever it takes to meet the commitment. Let's look at a few. And these are just a few. I pulled them down, but you don't have to take these. You can create whatever you want. Starting from the bottom left. You're committed to your people. This is a statement of commitment to your people. In leadership, when you're in leadership, you have people. People who will follow you. The example. No one can move. Your followers cannot move unless you move. So you have to be concerned about the people behind you who are looking up to you. Commit to them. I will listen to your opinions, your concerns, and your recommendations with an open mind, even if you are back office. I will listen to you. I will give you my undivided attention. I will look you in the eye. I will focus on what you're saying. I will think about what you're saying. And I will respectfully let you know whether or not your idea can be brought into the wider project goals or objectives. I will be supportive and encouraging and help you confront your challenges. There is not one perfect person in this room and I'm at the top of the list. Not perfect. Not perfect at all. We all have challenges. We all have things about ourselves that we would like to change, that needs to change. So when you're in a leadership position, again, be compassionate with your people. Understand that they are not perfect. They're trying, and sometimes their attempts probably bring more problems than good. But they're trying. So be supportive, be encouraging, and help them to confront their challenges so that they can be better people in your organization. We don't criticize, we don't judge. We bring people along. I will be available to offer positive advice, knowledge, and guidance to develop your people. See, it keeps coming back. Remember the leadership principles that we looked at? It's all tied in. This is how a leader should think. And these are the commitments that a leader should make. I will help you. I will help develop you. I will help take you along with me so that when we get there, we are all in good stead. And finally, I will not expect more from you than myself, because I'm not perfect. I know you're not, and I'm not either. So I will not expect more from you than I'm willing to give. I will lead by example. Whatever I'm expecting from you, I'm willing to do myself. If I expect you to be honest, I'm going to be honest with you. And if I expect you to be on time, I'm going to be on time. I'm going to be here before time, because I'm the leader. As Pastor Stephen said, I am going to be ahead of you so that you can follow.
Yes.
You can't follow me if I'm behind you.
Yes, that's true.
Okay? Next slide. I will also suggest that sometimes you might want to make a personal commitment plan. At age 55, we usually don't want the same things we wanted at age 25. We don't think the same anymore. And that's why it's important to not get into commitments that might adversely impact your future. We've all done it. We have all done it. When we're, how do they say it, when we're young and dumb? We all do it. We make mistakes, and sometimes some of those mistakes stay with us for the rest of our lives. Sometimes some of those mistakes impact the rest of our lives.
Yes.
So at this stage, you might still be young. I'm not going to call you anything else. Make a personal commitment plan. Make a personal commitment plan. Because you're still in the Lord. You still got many years ahead of you. So make a personal commitment plan. Let's look at just a few. These are just things that I came up with. These don't have to be yours. I am committed to building a powerful and protective boundary around myself, my life, and my priorities. This is important. That hedge of protection that we pray for the Lord to put around us all the time, we can commit also to live up to it for ourselves. You know how easily we get distracted with people? You know how easily people infiltrate our space and demand things from us? We have to commit that I will not allow myself to be distracted from the plans that I have made, I have organized, I have set my time schedule as the pastor said, and now I know what I need to do. I'm not going to allow distractions to derail me. Make a commitment to that. I'm committed to making change in my life and career when it's not working, and I won't remain in denial about it. I just want to share this one story that it bothered me terribly when I heard it. Someone here, they came here, they met their husband in another island. They moved to another island still, and this lady helped him to get his degree and helped him to get a really great job. And then both of them came here to the BDI, and he left her. He left her to someone else, and now he's pretty high up in our community. And when she talks about her pain and when she talks about her broken marriage, this is what she says. This is what she said. She said, Tortola, and she's been here 10 years after he left. He left her 10 years ago. He's still here, she's still here. He's married again with someone else and he's extremely successful. And she says, Tortola is bad for me. It's the worst place that I've lived at. And the first thing that popped into my mind, why are you still here? Sometimes we have to know when it's time to move on. We make a commitment to be open to change, to make change for the betterment of our lives. Because when you get stuck in a place, it keeps you down. It keeps you in negativity. Even as believers, sometimes we can't even hear God speaking to us anymore because we're down in the mire. We're down so deep. We don't even hear God. We don't see God anymore. We call ourselves followers of God, but we're so down in the mire because we are not living up to anything. There's no commitment in our life. We haven't made a commitment to ourselves to do anything for ourselves. So make a commitment to make changes in your life when they need to be made. And don't live in denial about change that needs to be made. I'm committed to restoring and nurturing my health and well-being because I matter. Each of us matters. And because you matter, you have to look after your health. I did a bad thing this morning. I did not eat breakfast. And so my breakfast was that really sweet piece of cake that you guys were having. You're so good to provide for me. I don't even eat sweets, but I was so hungry. My fault. That's my fault. Make a commitment to do the right things for your health because we intend to be around for a long time. It is God's will that we are. And so therefore, let's do the right thing to keep ourselves healthy, to nurture our bodies and nurture our minds and our spirits and our souls so that we can be the best we possible. Okay? I'm committed to letting go of, moving away from people and things that drag me down, keep me sick, stuck, and small. I go back to the example that I just gave. There are a lot of negative people out there. Not everyone is God-fearing. Not everyone understands the essence of our Savior Jesus. Not everyone knows Him as we do. So therefore, protect yourself from the negative people. Separate yourself from the negative people when it's necessary to do that. Don't feel bad about it. We each have negative people in our family. I have negative people in my family. And you know what I do? I love them from a distance. I know I should have called. I'm so busy. Do I go? No. I do go. I love them from a distance. And I do love them. But I know that the minute I get into their space or allow them in my space, they're going to bring me down. I'm going to walk away feeling less than who I am. I'm not going to know what to do with myself for a while. So I stay away. I remove myself. And sometimes you have to do that. You are here to serve the living God. Be the best person you can be while you're involved in that service. Be the best people you can be. Absolutely. See life without limitations. See all the possibilities. Embrace the opportunities. Make a commitment to yourself. Okay? And if you do, this is what it should look like. You start with a commitment. And commitments, remember that slide we looked at, supporting and improvements. Commitments, no commitment is ever supposed to end in some negative outcome. It's a failed commitment when it does. Commitments are positive. You are committed to doing something positive. You are committed to achieving something better. So commitments should bring an impact, a positive impact. So you made your commitment, there is positive impact. Because there is positive impact, there should be transformation. You should be transformed. Others that benefit from the positive impact should be transformed. There should be transformation, and you gain leadership qualities. you gain skill in leadership. Your leadership was recognized because you made a commitment, because the commitment had a positive impact, and because there was transformation. And at the end, there is legacy. Even if you're not here, you're standing up, getting up, living up to your commitment, made a world-changing difference. It doesn't matter how small it is right here in the BBI. Commitment is a very personal thing. It's a mindset that each of us must address in our lives if we are to become successful. The greatest personal satisfaction comes from living up to our commitments. Remember the slide back in leadership, the 5 world-changing leaders. The little things that Mother Teresa did, in her eyes, they were nothing. She's just caring for the sick, helping the poor, loving the lepers. And what is she today? She is one of the most recognized, successful, and influential leaders of our time. It's a legacy. She left a legacy. Each of those leaders that we looked at this morning left a legacy. Your legacy can be right here in Portola. Your legacy may not go any further than your family circle. But your family circle will recognize after you're gone, you were a person who lived up to your commitment. You were a person of honor. You were a person who could be relied upon. And you were a person who was well respected. And it will not be words that people only hear at your funeral. Make a personal commitment to be the best you that you can be, not just for your sake, for the sake of the people you serve. Thank you.